Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, April 9. U.S. President Barack Obama this morning voiced his support for Jamaica's economic reform program and specifically the efforts to deal with public debt while still making investments in youth and strengthening good governance and the rule of law. The president, who arrived in the island last night, was addressing the media following bilateral talks with Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller.
The main aim of our dialogue, therefore, was to further strengthen a partnership that existed long before the formal establishment of diplomatic relations in 1962.
The two leaders indicated that high on the agenda was energy security for Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean.
Oftentimes, people of the Caribbean, despite having less resources, are paying significantly higher prices for energy. And if we can lower those costs through the development of clean energy and increased energy efficiency, we could unleash, I think, a whole host of additional investment and growth. And I think there are going to be a whole host of areas where the United States can be helpful.
Jamaica's positive performance under the IMF Extended Fund Facility also featured prominently in the talks.
As Jamaica builds on the gains made so far under the program with the fund, we recognize that we renew our commitment to the economic reform program going forward.
This morning's bilateral talks also addressed the issues of climate change, strengthening cooperation in security and human resource development, and improving trade and economic relations. Following this morning's bilateral talks, President Obama and Prime Minister Simpson Miller joined other regional leaders in a U.S. CARICOM summit. It was held at the UA regional headquarters in Mona.
Many of the issues that Jamaica deals with are issues that exist across the Caribbean. And so what we want to do is find out how we can be an even more constructive partner in addressing some of these issues.
The U.S. President later hosted a town hall forum with young people at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. At this morning's bilateral press conference, he outlined the importance of that engagement.
Discussing how we can support entrepreneurship, more student exchanges, more effective job training, and at the same time how we can support human rights, equality, and the dignity of all people.
President Obama also took part in a wreath-laying ceremony at National Heroes Park before departing the island for the 7th Summit of the Americas in Panama. Prime Minister Simpson Miller and the other CARICOM leaders are also taking part in the biennial summit. Meanwhile, Jamaica and the U.S. signed a statement of intent early this morning to pursue the development and deployment of energy-related technologies. The agreement was signed by the Minister of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining, Philip Paulwell, and the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy, Dr. Ernest Moniz. It facilitates the exploration of further areas of technical cooperation between the two entities.
MSTEM has identified the areas of energy conservation and efficiency, modernizing energy infrastructure, developing the renewable energy sector, fuel diversification, and especially in relation to the acquisition of natural gas to our fuel mix, strengthen our governance structure, and the strengthening of that, energy efficiency in public sector buildings, and introducing energy efficiency and renewable energy into also our private industry.
The collaboration will primarily be executed through workshops, exchange of information, and periodic reviews of the achievements of the partnership, which will be measured against the agreed targets.
We have many areas where we can collaborate. We have been at Department of Energy, I think as you know, working in island contexts, especially for Hawaii and the Virgin Islands, and I think we see many opportunities for island communities to address what is often a very difficult and expensive energy situation.
The agreement is the result of previous engagements, including a memorandum of understanding signed earlier this year with the U.S. Ambassador to Jamaica, which focused on energy cooperation to introduce cleaner energy and lower Jamaica's carbon footprint. And coming out of this morning's discussions, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy committed to supporting Jamaica's efforts to serve as a base for the delivery of natural gas from the U.S. into the rest of the region. Minister Paulwell outlined why Jamaica would be a good choice for this.
And of course, we believe that Jamaica could be a part of the hub because of our geographic location in proximity to places like Haiti and other areas in the Caribbean, in the Western Caribbean. After these meetings, we are hoping to zero in on some of the specificity.
For his part, Dr. Moniz said his agency would be happy to facilitate discussions with the Inter-American Development Bank in this regard.
We are happy to do. We think it's good for the Western Hemisphere and certainly good for the Caribbean in terms of energy security, in terms of environmental impact, and I think economic development. And if you are meeting with Mr. Moreno, for example, with the bank, we'd be happy again to take part in discussions, to amplify discussions.
He said the U.S. could help with the development of analyses regarding Jamaica's access to natural gas. In that regard, he extended an invitation for the minister and Jamaican energy technocrats to visit the U.S. National Renewable Lab in Colorado, the lead lab for renewable energy, and things like microgrids and energy electricity systems integration. And finally, Jamaica is to co-chair discussions by a G20 development working group on the peculiar challenges facing Caribbean countries. Finance and Planning Minister Dr. Peter Phillips is to lead the island's delegation to the IMF-IDB spring meetings in Washington, D.C. between April 12 and 19.
The minister will have an opportunity for formal discussions with critical stakeholders on the policies being pursued by the government to achieve macroeconomic stability, economic growth, and development.
Dr. Phillips is to be accompanied by Devon Rowe, Brian Winter, Colin Bullock, Helen McIntosh, and Judith Green.
The IADB-IMF spring meetings provide a forum for discussions among governors of central banks, high-level authorities of member countries, representatives of multilateral financial institutions, development agencies, investment banks, and commercial interests.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.